Okay, it says going live. We are live.
Woo!
Wonder if all that stuff's showing up on the video. It's gonna be really annoying if that's how that looks.
I think it's cool.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Real Estate Rundown, brought to you by Real Realtors. My name is James Talbot. I'm a realtor here at Keller Williams, Antelope Valley in Southern California.
And I'm Jessica Truzzuto. Also, I'm an agent here at Keller Williams, Antelope Valley.
So this is episode 3, where we're going to be covering steps 3, 4, and 5 in the purchasing a home process or buying a home process. What's that full process called?
How to buy a home.
How to buy a home. So step 3, 4, and 5 are what?
Step 3, 4, and 5 are: step 3, talk to a lender.
Okay.
Step 4, search for a home.
Okay.
Step 5, visit homes.
Okay. So we've kind of pushed 3 or 4 and 5 into the same step because they're essentially the same step. So step 3, talk to a lender to get pre-approved. My rule as a realtor is I will not show you a home if you do not have a pre-approval. And that may seem a little harsh, but I want to know that I'm not wasting my time, that you're not wasting your time. I don't want to show you a home that you end up falling in love with and maybe isn't in your price range, or you fall in love with and you can't get pre-approved. Also, you have to remember that you're going into someone's home, so you should go in there with the intention and the ability to be able to purchase that if you do love it. So one of my rules is don't show without a pre-approval.
Yeah, and you get the number. I would feel way more comfortable knowing the price of this as I walk in.
Pre-approval takes a little bit longer than people think, and the reason we say pre-approval is there's pre-qualification, pre-approval, and approval. So there's multiple different steps. A pre-qual simply means the lender took your credit score, your income, ran it through their through one of their programs, and you are very, very, very tentatively pre-qualified for that program.
It's like on paper.
Yeah. A pre-approval is maybe like a half step to a step closer to approval. Pre-approval means that they most likely ran through a computer underwriter. So they ran through their system, and there's a little bit more backing to it. They call it DU approval or something like that. So you're really already kind of pre-approved. Now you just have to go through the actual underwriting process, find a home. You find the home, go through the underwriting, have the appraisal and all that. Approved means you literally just have to find a home. You are approved for the loan. You've gone through your underwriting. You're ready. You just have to find the home, get it appraised, do your inspections, do all those kinds of steps. So there's multiple steps. You have to know where you are in the process, and you shouldn't even be looking at houses before you have a pre-qualification or a pre-approval.
And that's why we put it very close, to the beginning. And it's not like go find the home you want and go search and go to look at open houses and then talk to your lender. No, talk to the lender first. Ask them your questions. This is like a big loan that you're taking on, and these payments are for 30 years. It's a big commitment. So ask all these questions up front so that you have all the information in front of you.
Yeah. And I have a lot of people, we'll worry about the qualification when we find the home. The reason we don't do that is, first off, the pre-approval, pre-qualification process, though it's quick, it's not immediate. So it could take a couple days, get all your documents, get them to your lender, the lender run it through. And let's say you get them all the documents on a Friday evening. Okay, well, that's not being done until Monday. So you've got a couple days where it's going to take you a couple days to get this approval. And then, so you don't want to find a home like it, try and go through the pre-qualification process, and then someone else buy it.
Yeah, or you find this home and you're like, I want this one. Yeah. Oh, by the way, it's going to take you 3.5 weeks to get the approval on paper. By that time, offers accepted on your home, and you lose it.
You can go through the approval. Most people go through the approval process during escrow. So you get the pre-approval, you make the offer, it gets accepted, and then you go through the full approval.
Right.
But she's right. It does take some time. So you don't want to end up losing out on the home. Also, we don't want. Let's say I show you a $350,000 house and your approval comes in at $320, $310, $305, $300. And now all of a sudden it's outside of your qualification range, and now I start to show you houses in your qualification range, and you don't like them as much because now you have the idea of the first house that you saw.
So have that number in your head, so you think about it first. For sure, before you even talk to the lender, you know how much you want to spend each month. So when you go talk to the lender, just kind of have that in mind, because they might come back and tell you that you're approved for more than what you want to spend each month. But you're going to be like, well, hold on. You know, it's just having that knowledge and being aware.
Yeah. So you talk to your step 3, talk to a lender. There's a couple different ways you can do this. There are direct lenders, which is what I would recommend there, and there's mortgage brokers, which broker the deal out to companies.
Or
Keller Mortgage, which would technically probably fall under the direct lender if we had to put it into a category. Keller Mortgage is if you use a KW agent, you get access to Keller Mortgage, and there's no origination fees, no processing fees. It takes away basically your lender's fees.
So no origination fees, no lender fees, no application fees. Hold on. Keep going.
It takes away your lender fees, which cuts down your closing costs pretty substantially. So it should save you a couple thousand. Also, if your loan is over $150,000, which are in California, it most likely is going to be, they'll give you $1,000 at the close of escrow to help offset third-party costs, which are appraisals, inspections. There's costs.
And so for that to be in order to get that $1,000 after, you have to the loan has to be over $150,000, which is pretty easy to do in California. But you get it back for the third-party costs, as he was saying. But they call it the 0+ loan program because there is no processing fees, there is no application fees. Basically, all of these fees that you may get with another lender, they say it can be up to $1,500. They kind of you have the client in mind, and they designed this program to help them, the end consumer, in the end, and just to make it easy and flow, and it's all online. All of these advantages to Keller Mortgage, because I'm teaching myself and learning more about it as they're promoting it and bringing awareness to it.
Yeah. So Keller Mortgage is only it's exclusive to Keller Williams agents and Keller Williams agents clients. A direct lender is what I would most likely suggest because they're normally a little more flexible on their requirements. So your credit score may not have to be as high. You may not have to have as much down. They might be able to work around certain things. Where a mortgage broker needs to broker it out and find someone who's willing to take on the loan. I'm not a huge fan of mortgage brokers. I'm a bigger fan of direct lenders. And KW Mortgage falls under, I guess, that direct lender
it's
category.
Kind of taking out the pieces that maybe are not needed. And it's allowing us as agents to run our business and allowing the client access to these loan programs without jumping through 4 or 5 people, and it's kind of direct, right?
So you would have to verify with your lender or verify with a lender, but FHA loans, I'm pretty sure, are 580 on the credit score. There's down payment assistance programs, but they're normally 620 to 640 plus on the credit score. So yeah, the first thing they're going to do is check. They're going to pull credit. They're going to verify income, verify employment, certain things like that, and then
once you talk
number
to
at you.
Once you're like, okay, talk to a lender. Well, what does that mean, right? And he's saying they're going to ask you to show proof of all the money that you make, all the money that you have, and then like he said, give you that number. Because you have to be able to prove that you can pay it on paper, not just like, oh, I can afford that. No. But talking to a lender is not scary. I think maybe people might shy away. Like, I don't want to show someone my bank statements. And even if you think you're not there yet, the lender can help you and take steps to get you to where you are ready. And it's like, even if you don't think you're not ready, oh, I need to get another job. Well, ask them. Talk to them. Talk to your realtor. I'll give you the phone number to my in-house lender here. And you have that one-on-one personal discussion about your situation. And she knows all the programs here, and you figure out a plan.
Yeah, a lot of people also don't like their credit being pulled because there's this idea that if someone checks your credit, you lowers your score. It's not necessarily true. That's a misconception.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is if you have it checked a lot, or if you're using it a lot, it will lower your score. But if you have if a lender checks your credit score right now, it's not going to hurt your credit score at this moment. It only hurts if they have to keep pulling it. So also, as we're talking about talking to a lender, we might as well deal with through the process, through the purchase process of dealing with your lender. They pull your credit again at the end. So we're getting ready to close. People forget that that's not the last time they pull your credit. They pull your credit again right before we close.
Yeah, you want to be on your best behavior throughout this whole process, or almost no extra spending or new loans or anything to change your situation. Don't do it.
Don't buy things on credit during the real estate process.
Oh, I need a new refrigerator. I need a new washer dryer for my new house. I'm about to...
Including but not limited to vacations, cars. Please, dear God, do not buy a new car while we're in this process.
And your debt to income ratio.
No matter what the car salesman says, it's not going to be okay. They say the easiest way is 6 months between purchasing a home and purchasing a car, or purchasing a car and purchasing a home. 6 months of correct payment, like payments on time every month before you can do the next one. Yeah. We've had people buy cars on credit. We've had people use their down payment money for buying a car cash because they were going to flip it. We've had people go through and near the close, what they did was they went into Ashley's or one of these furniture stores and bought all of the furniture for the house on credit. We've had them take trips to...
and then what happens is you're in this approval process. I was pre-approved, and everyone thinks that you're not going to get that final approval because you made all these changes.
Yeah. And you've changed your debt to income ratio. You changed all sorts of things. You changed your credit score. We've had people...
now your interest rate might go higher.
Take trips to Las Vegas, and they put it on their credit card. We've had... Let's see, what else have we had? We had one really crazy one. What was it? Oh, it wasn't that crazy, actually. I lied. He went to Best Buy, and he took out a Best Buy credit card to pay for a computer with his mom. So his mom needed him to co-sign the credit card or something. And so he came on and signed it, and they bought a computer on it, a couple $100, and it threw off their entire qualification. Don't
even become a co-signer.
Yeah, you can't. Nothing on credit, you guys. Nothing on credit. Make sure you're paying your bills still on time. Nothing new on credit, unless you've talked to your lender already, and the lender's been like, "Yeah, no, go ahead and do that." But I'm talking, be very, very careful with what you're buying on credit. It can change your score and all of that. So the other one I would say is there's a thing called a Melrose tax. And what a Melrose tax is, it's a special assessment tax or a special tax put on most likely by the builder. And what he's doing is offsetting costs for public facilities. Public facilities could include anything from sidewalks to street lights to a park or whatever. But the builder didn't want to take on that cost, so they put it into the Melrose tax. That Melrose tax, make sure that is being checked early, because if it is there and you don't know, I have seen that also lose people qualification for
It's included in the amount we need to pay, each month or each year. So include that into what you have to pay.
So your lender or your agent or your title person needs to be able to find that and figure it out early in the process, because if there is a Melrose tax, we've had this happen where they found out the Melrose tax later in the transaction.
So as the client, ask,
is there a Melrose tax? A lot of times it's no, but we have a couple out here in Palmdale because of the aqueduct and certain things. There's a couple neighborhoods where there's Melrose. There's not a ton, but there are some. Also, the other one, HOAs. Make sure you are factoring in your HOA costs because it changes your monthly payment and it changes how much you can afford. So it's going to change your qualification. So make sure your lender talks to you about that as well.
But also look at the amount. So you want to pay, let's say you want to pay your $1,200 each month and your HOA is $200 a month. Well, now maybe your mortgage only can be $1,000 because now you have $1,000 for your mortgage and $200 for your HOA for your $1,200 payment.
Yeah.
That $200 has to come out of somewhere. So you can be aware of that in that if you already, like, let's say, for example, in your home that has no HOA, you would be paying for a gardener, you would be paying for a pool and the maintenance for the pool. And in exchange for that, I'm going to pay this HOA because I want the garden and I want the pool. I just don't want the hassle of paying every month. So there are times where it's beneficial and maybe you want that HOA payment because you want less work. But also, again, like James said, factor that into your payment because it's not like you could, and what he's trying to say is you could get into the house and then all of a sudden you have an HOA and a Melrose tax and you're like, where is this $500 going to come from? I'm already maxed out with my payment and all this other stuff.
Well, so the Melrose is a tax that has to be factored into the payment.
So those are good points.
Because those both can cost you qualification. And we most likely will find that through escrow and stuff. We will find if there's an HOA. Well, we'll find out before. If you're a good agent, you should find before. But let's say your agent misses it, it will be found out. And it could happen 40 days into the escrow and all of a sudden you can't qualify.
And what, like we're doing here, we're educating the clients and the customers so that it's not always up to the agent, or maybe so that they know what questions to ask. Because you go in and you talk to an agent. You talk to a loan officer, and I'm looking at this paper that has like 8 different loan types on it. Like there's not just like, oh, go get your loan. Like, oh, okay, I'll go get mine too, because there's different types, and depending on you as a person, are you a veteran? Are you a first-time home buyer? All these different, they have all of that kind of information.
Yeah.
And how many times have they done it that they have that knowledge, And
every time I get asked, like, well, how will that affect my payment? What will that do to the payment? How much is this going to cost? Blah, 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 blah. Those questions, I always send you back to your lender. Those are lender questions because they're going to be able to calculate all that. If you have a lender that isn't answering those questions and isn't following up with you on that, helping you with that, and answering those questions, find a new lender. That's all I'd say is find a good lender because they're going to be one you talk to a lot through this process. So you'll talk to your real estate agent a lot, you'll talk to the lender a lot, and then you'll talk to escrow quite a bit as well. But definitely find a lender who is knowledgeable and will answer all of your questions. And don't be afraid to ask the questions. A lot of people think they're asking stupid questions.
Oh yeah, no. Ask any little inclination. If you're worried about anything, ask.
I've had people apologize for asking too many questions.
No.
I was getting my hair cut the other day and she started asking me about real estate and apologized, and I was like, this is what I do.
Girl, please ask me more. And do you know anyone that wants to buy or sell? Like, don't apologize. Yeah, it's what we do.
I love being able to use my knowledge and expertise to explain the market to people and educate people and help them. And these lenders are the same way. There's a lot of lenders and there's a lot of really good ones. There are some bad ones, of course, but there's a lot of really good ones. So make sure you're asking them the questions. Is this the best kind of loan? Because there's certain things they can do with down payment assistance. There's certain things that they can do with all sorts of things in this process. So just make sure you're asking your lender.
So I found this paper. There's a packet called Buying Your Home that Mortgage Express here gives out. And it's just, there's a loan documentation checklist. So when you go to speak with the lender, they'll go, oh, please go gather some documents. And I want to bring some awareness here on this podcast of the types of things that they're going to ask you for so that you can just be aware and not, be like, oh, I didn't know I needed that.
Yeah.
So
because also we talked about we talked about that time frame of it's going to take a couple days to get approved or pre-approved. This is why you may not have these documents. You may have to go and get them or order them or whatever. Not everybody just has these documents lying around. So maybe you have to go to your company and get your verification of employment, and there's certain things your company has to send you.
Or remember that some of these things, like if you're just in the process of researching right now and you're not wanting to, you don't need to talk to a lender this week, but maybe this will give you things to look out for, so that let's say you are going to talk to a lender in 6 months, like, oh, I know I'm going to need this, or I know I'm going to need that. So just that awareness. Okay. So your social security number, names and locations of your employers from the past 2 years. They want to see that consistent, either in the same profession or the same job. How much do you make each month? Your checking and savings accounts information, and they usually ask for a couple months.
So on how much you
Statements.
make, the initial pre-qualification, you can just tell them how much you make a month, but they will eventually need your pay stubs. You will have to prove that income.
And tell the truth. I mean,
Yeah.
it's if you say $1 million, that's easy. We'll look at $1 million house, but be honest, and get that on paper, and then we'll show you that home. Any information on all the open loans you have, your current paycheck, and W-2 forms from the past 2 years, and your personal tax returns from the past 2 years.
Yeah.
So all of this information, just kind of be aware that this is what they need, and don't be afraid to show this. I mean, it's a private lender. I mean, they're separate from me, right? So there's the privacy field of, you're talking to essentially someone that works for a bank, that's going to be loaning you your money. So
you also have to remember that there is privacy in lending acts and things like that. There's laws around this. They can't share really any information with us that you don't want them to share. So I'm not saying that they haven't shared that information with me before, but they're not supposed to. There is a privacy in lending that they're not allowed to tell me anything you don't want them to tell me. So technically your credit score, your income.
So be aware, talk to them and be open, because they're going to be honest with you and maybe help you get to where you want to be.
Because you got to remember, as a realtor, I'm really more focused on that qualification number. I don't really care how you guys got it done. If you've talked to a lender and they spit me a number of $260,000, perfect. That's the number I need to know. If you're going down payment assistance or anything like that, I really realistically don't need to know that. I just need to know, are we making an FHA offer? I need to know. It just changes maybe my timelines, but realistically, I'm looking for price point.
Yeah.
So this one's talking about APRs and funds. So you don't need 20% down. I feel like there's a lot of people who think you need 10 or 20% down. FHA's 3.5, and there's other ones that are 3, 3.5, 5, things like that. You can use, I know one of the guys who listens to us was talking the other day about using your retirement account, pulling that for the down. I have had people use their 401k. If you have one through your company or something like that, and you can pull from it. You can get a gift. You can save the money yourself. You can do down payment assistance. There's lots of different options in down payments and how to afford the home and how to really take away that.
And if you want to go into down payments, every loan is different. So there might be a loan where you are able to bring in less because you pay more each month, kind of thing.
Yeah. Like if you use CalHAFA, which is a down payment assistance through the state of California, it helps cover your closing costs and down payment, but it does add like a 0.5% or something like that to your interest rate. So you do pay a little bit higher. So ask your lender for that as well. What would that change your monthly payments to?
Yeah. So it's if I have a little bit of money for a down payment or a lot, like it helps. but you're not out of the club. You can't not. We're not saying that if you don't have 20%, then you can't buy a house. I think that's the thinking that most people have.
Yeah.
Is there's no way I'm going to be able to save $20,000. So there's other ways to get into being a homeowner, and then you're basically that's where your savings is when you own.
A lot of people up here ask for assistance from the seller to help cover closing costs. Now it's common where we're at. I don't know if it's common throughout California or in other states, but where we're at, a lot of people will ask, the seller to pay a certain percent of the sales price to help them with their closing costs. And they can say yes or no to that. But I've gotten plenty of times have I gotten that from my client.
That's like a negotiation tactic where they're.
Yeah. But you might also beat somebody out if you don't need that. So if you don't need the 3% or 1% or whatever from the seller or seller's assistance or seller's concessions, I think is technically what they call it. But if you don't need that, that's a big deal because you can win the negotiation against the people that way as well.
Yeah.
So that's step 3 of talking to your lender and getting pre-approved. There's a lot of information there. We have information on a lender. If you want to message us and ask us about a lender, we know plenty of lenders. If you're out of California, we of course can find you a lender, somebody in your area that can help you. That'll be no problem. But steps 4 and 5, we're pushing together. We were going to do 2 steps per episode, but these steps kind of feel like they just fit together really well. While you're getting pre-approved, your realtor should be sending you houses from the MLS, and they email it to you, and you look through the pictures and you start to see which ones you like. But step 4 and 5, search for a home and then visit the homes. So let's talk a little bit about searching for a home.
Okay, so as Keller Williams agents, we have access to our consumer app that we can share with you via text. There's a little link that you can type into your phone, and then it downloads this app. And I'll bring it up as we speak on it. I like it in terms of saving searches and looking at homes. And also it helps me as your realtor kind of know what you're looking at too, to help you.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can.
So one of the big things is, as you tell us you're interested in purchasing a home, we're going to start the pre-approval process. We're going to get you in touch with the lender, do all that kind of stuff. But next thing we're going to do, kind of at the same time that we do that, we're going to sit down and do what's called a needs analysis or a buyer's consultation. People call it different things, but
my buyer's packet.
Buyer's packet, buyer's consultation, needs analysis, whatever it is. And what it is, we're going to sit down with you like we would a listing appointment, and we would figure out what do you need, what do you want. Those are 2 separate categories. So needs, a lot of time up here when I sit down with buyers, needs is bedrooms and baths. They've got a couple kids or they're a big family or whatever it is, so they need more bedrooms and baths and more space. Okay, those are needs. They may want a big yard. So needs are things you definitely need in the house. Wants are could you live without them? I'll still try and find them, but if I can't, are they things you're willing to live without?
Yeah, or can you maybe put it into your home once you buy it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is like if there's like a small, I can just put that in.
So a little bit of insight from a real estate agent standpoint. Tell us the truth on this meeting. Tell us what you're really looking for. And if that changes, let us know.
And that's okay. Maybe you saw 3 homes
Totally
with 2 stories and James, I thought I wanted a 2-story, but I really want a 1-story now.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
You tell me you want a 3-bath, and the ones I send you, you're only sending me back the 4 baths. Okay, so are we really looking at 4 bathrooms as a need, or is it 3 bathrooms or bedrooms or whatever it is? Bedrooms, I meant to say, because 4 baths is a lot of baths, but a 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, something like that. There are 5 and 4s up here, though. We have 6 and 4s. They are up. Maybe you need 3 bedrooms. Sorry, and you're only sending me back 4 bedrooms. Well, we actually wanted that extra bedroom, so we really want a 4-bedroom. Okay, that's fine.
And
just let me know.
Maybe you find out what you like during this process. I mean, maybe you go in and you're like, I don't know what I want. So let's just start at my price and show me some homes, or I'll look through some pictures and I'll I'll give you some feedback, and then through this like kind of back and forth, oh, this is what it looks like that you want, and we see it and we do it together. Because I think when you're like, oh, what is your favorite food to eat, or what is your favorite drink to drink, I don't even think we know sometimes. Like, it depends on the day. Or so when you're buying a house, it's like, do I want a pool? Like, I like to swim sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's okay to not know. That's my point.
Yeah. Just know that I want to show you the right houses. I want to show you what you're looking for. I want to show you the correct homes. I want you to be seeing the right one so that you don't miss out on one that you may love. So if you're finding stuff maybe online or on the app or on the websites that I'm not sending you, or I'm showing you houses that you're not really interested in, let's figure out why we have a disconnect there. It could be I misunderstood something, or I wrote the notes down wrong, or your preferences have changed. All I'm saying is, in that process, just let me know, and I will change the search criteria. It's not that hard. It's a couple clicks, and I change the search criteria. But something might be a want that's really a need. Something might be a need that's really a want. So make sure at least thought about it.
Yeah, it makes
Also, married couples, it's okay to disagree on some of the things in the home. What I would ask is if you could get to some sort of agreement on the base of the home.
Open or closed? Because you gotta have some sort of.
If you could just give me a launching point, that would be wonderful. Because husbands and wives, or significant others, whatever you may have, significant others who disagree completely on homes is a nightmare. Because most of the time we tend to lean towards what the wife wants. But that may not be the way that relationship works.
Well, when it's two of them, they seem to talk each other out of, like, oh no, I like that, but no, you didn't, and it's like this whole circle.
Yeah.
So maybe sit down and have that conversation, or fill out your own buyer's packet and then compare, and then see where you can compromise.
Yeah. If you could just give me like a base for the home, like here's what we're both kind of
doors
looking for.
And windows.
Yeah. And then after that, we kind of separate. I can mix and match to where we're happy enough. I'm just asking some sort of agreement.
Consensus, right?
Yeah. Sort of. He wants a 3-bedroom. She wants a 4-bedroom. His price point's a little different than her price point.
Or someone wants a condo with HOA and the other one wants a pool on their own. Like, which way do you want to go? Or
also, pool homes will be a little more expensive, not because of the pool, but because the desirability of a pool home is more people want a pool home.
Oh, the market desires it.
But that's I feel like there's a little bit of a shift there happening with pools, because there are plenty of people who avidly don't want a pool home because there's liability that comes with a pool. They're hard to maintain. You have to winterize them. The gear for them is really expensive. There's filters and all sorts of things. So, plus there's a drowning hazard. There's a lot of things that I know there's a ton of people who don't want a pool. So that is one of the questions I will ask: pool or no pool, single story or 2-story. About square footage. Now, a lot of this also depends on your qualification range, but about a square footage.
But even if you're in a range, there's still some variation. It's not like you're stuck with 3 bedrooms only.
Yeah.
Like that. It looks different. Maybe you have one less bedroom, but you have a bigger living room, or the backyard is. And that's why when you search for different homes, you can see the different. Oh, I liked that and that. So I'll settle with this. But once you're the owner, we didn't talk about this, huh? Once you're the owner, you can change it. You can, as long as it's not the condo HOA shared wall. Like I can't, you have some sort of restriction there. But if now this is your home, you can be free to build the pool in a couple of years when you save up save up some money.
Yeah.
And get the home that doesn't have the pool, but know that you're going to be putting like $200 a month away for this like thing that you want to add to your home.
Check with your city and your county, because there's rules in cities and counties, and they change by city and county. So check with the correct people on that, on permits and everything.
Yeah, don't assume you can just like go build like a castle in your backyard, because
if you have an HOA, check with your HOA. By the way, also, really, probably the most important was figure out what neighborhoods you want to be in. Where we're at, we're split into east and west. So West Palmdale, East Palmdale, West Lancaster, East Lancaster are the big four. There's a ton of people who only want to live in West Palmdale or only want to live on the west side, which could be West Lancaster or Palmdale. There's only people. I only want to live in East Lancaster. I only want to live in East Palmdale. I only want to live in Palmdale because it's more south. It's closer to the freeway's closer to LA and all that. So their drive time's a little bit less. There's people who are open to Lancaster and Palmdale, only figure out what neighborhoods you want to be in. Let's see if your qualification matches those neighborhoods. And then I really kind of as well.
Yeah, I mean, so think about where you have to commute to get to work or school or the grocery store. Where do you want to live?
Yeah.
Just kind of ask yourself that question and why. And then maybe from there you can figure out, which homes match that.
So as we're talking about searching for homes, there are plenty of buyers who find their houses online. It happens. Here's what I warn you with searching online without talking to your agent. Some of the big ones that are online search websites don't cull their information. So it could be outdated information.
Yeah.
There's plenty of times where I've had clients go, "Hey, I just found this one in West Palmdale for $180,000."
Sold.
I'm like, please tell me where you found that, because it sounds like you found that in 2011. Like, I don't know about you, but I don't have a DeLorean with a flux capacitor to go back in time to get you that house. So, and I can't tell you how many times they've checked with me, and I've checked online, and I'm like, I don't see it anywhere on my MLS or my app.
These websites, I think the consumers are like so excited to go there because it gives them, and this is from you,
Yeah.
like you taught me this, it gives them an answer.
Yes.
It gives them a number.
Yeah.
And they run with it.
Yeah.
And it's but how accurate is it? When was it, when was it listed and all of this information is in the database on the MLS that realtors have access to because we pay dues and
yeah. And so old information, bad information, incorrect information, there's all
it's information, yes. Yeah. But how accurate,
same thing on pricing a home. If you've gone on those websites to see what the price of your home is, it's almost automatically always wrong.
A number. They give you a number.
And it's a wrong number.
So ask me. Why don't you message me and ask me how much your home is worth? Yeah. And I will print out a comparative market analysis. There's another program I have access to that I can print out the seller's report that it kind of gives you comps. Like if you're thinking about selling, ask your agent for a CMA.
Yeah.
Ask your agent how much my home is worth. If I were going to put it on the market tomorrow, Agent James, how much could I possibly list it for? Because no one knows for sure. But if you have that one question, we can tell you.
Yeah.
And then you can gauge it. Well, maybe I want to sell. Now I want to sell because of what you just told me. Or if prices can stay this way, I want to sell in the summer. So ask.
Yeah. And on searching for homes, if there is one in a nicer area that is super cheap, there's a reason it's cheap. I've always told there's a reason it's $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 under everything else. It's probably beat up.
Needs some work.
If you're FHA, you can't buy it because FHA has certain guidelines. VA same way. You have
those
to go
are
cash or conventional.
Cash, yeah.
Yeah. But searching for a home is pretty simple. The easiest way is to have your realtor send you a bunch of homes and look through the pictures. And then tell us which ones you like, and then and this rolls into step 5. We'll go and see them.
Yeah, because that's before you even see some homes, is you're kind of scrolling online and
looking through pictures, things like that. This should be the searching for the home and the viewing the homes should be the funnest part of this. I know people, this is a very, very stressful part for them, but this should be the funnest part for you.
It can be overwhelming to have to pick the home that your family is going to live in for a long time. I mean, there's a lot of pressure, and you don't want to be wrong. And but you don't know until you pick and you try it out. And after a couple of years goes by, you can move up, move down, or evaluate, and maybe you love it and you're going to stay. So
that's what they said is the next big shift in this market coming up here in the next like decade or so, is they're calling it the silver tsunami. And what it is baby boomers are downsizing. So a lot of them are listing their homes, retiring, and moving either out of California or to a smaller house or to do whatever they're doing, right? But they're calling it the silver tsunami. And what they're worried about is, the big worry right now is millennials, and so Gen X and down, so X, millennial, and Z they're all kind of still living in cities. So you've got these suburban areas like us up here, where we're a commuter community, or you have like the San Fernando Valley to LA. Millennials aren't moving out there enough, so they're worried about almost too much inventory, which would be the shift into the buyer's market that we would eventually take. But a bunch of houses coming onto the market, and who's buying them? Well, as groups get older and families get bigger, you're eventually going to move out of the city, most likely. You know, LA is very expensive, so you move to San Fernando.
A backyard.
San Fernando is really expensive. You end up moving up here, so it'll probably fill in. But that is one of the big shifts, and one of the big worries they have right now is what they're calling the silver tsunami.
That's interesting.
Just a little real estate there for you. Well, that's what we're here for, right? So viewing homes. So let's talk about viewing homes. So the search, we've talked to a lender, we've got we've seen homes online, we've seen pictures. So now we're actually talking about a realtor going and opening up the home for us.
Here's how you have your app. You can go online. There's a Keller Williams website.
Yes.
And so you're searching. We are sending you homes, but then there's actually the day that we set appointments to go.
Yes.
See the homes.
Most often for me, it's been on the weekends because it gets dark early now. So sometimes during the summer months, you'll get after 5:30, you'll do late showings after work. But most people work 9 to 5 or 8 to 6 is really working time, or 8 to 5:30 is really working time for most people. So we normally show on the weekends. And showing for me is actually really fun.
I like it.
I enjoy it a lot because houses are interesting and it's fun to walk through and see houses. But here's my suggestion to you if you are going to view homes, and here's how I think you should do it. If I send you 10 homes that all kind of match your criteria, and I think they're ones you might like, we're not going to see all 10 of them.
Well, yeah. So we may see 4 or 5 in a day. Because then they start to just blend.
They start to blend.
Oh, and you're like, what did I see? I don't know.
It's like doing something weird. After about 5, it becomes a really long day. The houses blend together. You forget what you've seen. Everyone's kind of hungry because it takes a couple hours. What I would do is pick 3 to 5. So let's find all the ones in your price range that you like that might match your criteria. I'll send you all of those. Pick your 3 to 5 favorites that you definitely want to see. Statistically speaking, the house that you're going to buy is in those 3 to 5, those first 3 to 5. I've shown 40 houses to people. I've shown 50 houses to people. I've shown 2 houses to people.
Remember that first one we saw in the very beginning? Yeah. I want that one.
And they end up, it happens Jessica, I cannot tell you how often I've had this happen to me. We see a home, it matches their criteria. I can't tell you to buy it. And I'm like, when we walked in, you both were like awestruck, like you were celebrity struck at this house.
Well, I want to make sure this is the one. So I have to see, you know, and that, like, just trust your gut. And
then 2 weeks later, we're on our 12th house, and I've probably badmouthed you to other agents. It happens. You're like, I'm showing this person again. We should have bought that house 2 weeks ago. They love that one. And then you guys come back to me and you go, hey, James, we love that first house actually. Is there any way to go back? I go back and it's pending because someone else bought it.
And then we can't put an offer in on it.
And we can't put it off. Here's my I guess theory around it. If you love it, somebody else is going to love it. So let's make our best offer now. I'm not saying we'll get it, but let's at least make the offer so we have a chance at it. I can't tell you how many times I've had people skip out on a house and then 2 weeks later or something like that come back to me and try and buy it, and it's already gone.
But if you listen to everything else we've said in this episode, by the time you get to that point, you should have some comfort in your decision and what you're doing. And if you're not, you stop. Yeah. Stop the show and you say, you know what, I'm not comfortable right now. I'm gonna give it a few weeks. I need to just think, and then we'll pick it back up. Because you want to be sure. And if you look at 10 homes and you're like, it's listen to yourself. Have the conversation with your realtor. Talk it out with people in your life, and because this is where you're gonna live, and you don't want to keep spending rent, throwing the money in that trash can over there. So you be the owner.
Where you start to run into some problems here when you see too many homes. There's always, I think the mindset, there's always, the best deal is always the next one. There's always something better down the line. Well, what if something comes onto the market that's better? Yeah, but what if nothing comes on the market and is the best one and we lose it? Because those are both the same probability. I think people, what happens is when you see too many, like she was saying, you start to blend them together, and you don't remember what you've seen. You kind of misremember something. Or what often happens, and I talked about this in another video. I don't think it was on the podcast, but I talked about it in another video. You almost get this Frankenstein monster house where you took the bedrooms from one house, the kitchen from another, the living room from this one, the wood floors from this one, the fireplace from this one, and you jam it into this dream home Frankenstein monster of a house that
doesn't exist.
I can't possibly find inside most likely attractive neighborhood.
Or now you have to build.
Now you have to build. But to build, you have to have the cash. You have to buy land and actually be able to buy cash, like use cash to build the home. So you're looking for a pre-built house that the one is in your head. So I always think the best idea, and this is really the most efficient way to do it, is have your realtor send you a bunch of houses. Pick your 3 to 5 favorites. These are must-sees. If it's 2, if it's 1, if it's 5, that's fine. Cap it at 5. 5 and under. Must-sees. These are definitely ones I want to see. These are I've got to get into these.
And these have to match your buyer's packet criteria that we already, we wrote down and talked about, like the minimum requirements.
If I send you 20 houses and none of them are the criteria you thought you gave me, or I thought that you wanted, and you're like, no, these aren't the ones I want at all.
Just tell us.
Tell me. Let me correct my criteria, and then go, okay, let me send you these. See if these are it. Also, don't make me tell you can't afford it. If you're at $300,000 and there's a house that you really love at $350,000, I'm not going to show you off of the fact that, of course, you're going to like that house more. It's $50,000 more. It's probably a lot nicer. It's probably bigger. Of course, you're going to like it more. So I don't want to show you that because we can't make an offer. We can't move forward. Now I got your hopes up.
But we're not saying that you can never own a home at $350,000.
No, I'm just saying at the time, stay in your qualification
But
range.
maybe you qualify for $300,000. You live in that house for at least 2 years.
Yeah.
Let the equity build up, and then guess what? You can sell the home you're in and buy the home in your preferred price range. But you do need to start somewhere, whether it's a condo or a small home.
Yeah.
And then you eventually can get up there. It's not like, forever you're in this. No, you can work your way up. It's a marathon. It's patience. It's the long game we're playing. And if you kind of plan now and think that way now, it's not like, no, I need that $1 million house now. Like, I'm going to stretch all my everything on paper to prove it. And it's like, but if you waited, it's going to be more manageable and more likely to happen in a way that's in your ability.
Yeah. I have had times, so I had one client, they had just sold their house, and so they bought at the bottom of the market, they sold right around the top. They had a big chunk of equity. So they got some cash from it. And they were buying a house, and they qualified at 280. So I was showing them everything 280 and below that they might like. And they kind of liked them. They were okay and all that kind of stuff. And then they were on my app, and they sent me, hey, can we see this one? And it was 300,000. I said, that's over your qualification range. are you going to make up the difference in cash? Or are you going to offer low? What are you planning on doing that if you do fall in love with it? They go, hey, we've got a bunch of equity. We're willing to spend $20,000 of that equity to get this home if we like it. So they were willing to use extra down payments, extra costs, and fill in that gap with cash.
Oh.
And I showed them, and they walked in, and they fell in love with it immediately. The wife was like caressing the counters.
Oh my goodness.
She loved it. They walked in and they loved it. And so we wrote the offer. They made the difference in cash, and they got a $300,000 house. So if you are willing to if you have the ability and you're willing to make up the difference in cash, of course you can go over what your qualification is. You just have to be able to make up that difference in cash.
Okay.
So we're right at about 50 minutes. We're right at about our hour mark.
I think we hit all those. And thank you for listening to the Real Estate Rundown.
So
what else?
One final capping.
Okay.
Step 3, talk to your lender, get pre-approved. Start that early. Start that early in the process. Start searching for homes. So have your realtor start sending you homes quickly, and then actually view the homes and have a plan, have a goal when you actually view the homes. Don't just go see to see it, because remember, you're opening up someone else's house. They could be living in it. It could be vacant. Either way, you're opening up a home that someone else owns. So have a real goal and plan when you go in to view the houses.
Yeah, and I hope you guys find this valuable on your end as consumers as you launch into this home buying adventure.
So if you're listening to the podcast, please continue to follow us and download our podcast and all the things you have to do with the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, like, share, and subscribe. Please comment, ask us any sort of real estate questions. We're more than happy to answer them. We'll answer back in the comments, and we might even start making some videos if you guys start asking questions, answering them in video. Again, my name is James Talbot. I am a realtor here at Keller Williams Antelope Valley.
And I'm Jessica Trezzuto, also Keller Williams agent. Thank you for listening, and have a good day.
We'll see you next week. End stream.